Thanks again for joining. We're gonna do a very quick introduction about Compassion, and we have some of our partners here with us today. And then let's talk about longevity innovation. And Eva, I understand that you come from an architecture background, right?
I come from the background from EMF protection, electromagnetic fields.
Okay.
So it's also very important because the body is electromagnetic. And I don't know if you maybe noticed, I'm also talking about on LinkedIn about this because it's a very important theme, but because most of people they don't see it because we cannot see it, but we can feel it in our nervous system, and it belongs also to the longevity theme.
Mhm.
And we are already have a concept which is yeah which is, has a license, yes, or you have a certification, and we work already in the UAE with this. It's a Swiss company which I work for, and it's also very important, to maybe one time I can give you, if you want more input in this. And I don't want to steal your time now, but
Okay.
longevity and electromagnetic fields, very important for the future with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all this kind of things.
Okay, now that's great. So, and we'll have a diverse group here. So, we have people calling from one of the one federal university in Brazil. They have their camera shut down. Also, people that came from healthcare, from social slash economics, right, Anna? And people that has done have done lots of studies on the consumer longevity perspective as well, that we can share a little bit here during the presentation. The idea here is to share more about what is this Longevity with Partners, an initiative that we've been working on for the past almost a year already, that will start in the healthcare space for some reasons, but we definitely see as a good opportunity to expand to other areas of other segments of the industry. So, quick introduction. What is Compassion? So, Compassion is a network of executives, former executives, and founders of companies. We are spread from China, India, down to South Africa, few places in Europe, Canada, US, Colombia, and Brazil. And we truly believe that even though you may need to have a deep knowledge into one segment, it's important also that you are able to navigate across segments and see whatever is the best solution that you can apply to this segment. I use my personal example that I came from academia, that I did pulp and paper, petrochemicals, healthcare, energy, oil and gas, then move it back to healthcare. We're always trying to see what is the best thing that is happening in this segment and try to explore to another segment. And the other thing that we believe differentiate us significantly, we are not a consulting firm focused on developing reports. We really like to get into the, I would say, dirty hands of execution. So we also read reports, but we believe that strategy without execution is pretty much good ideas into a PowerPoint. So we really need to get execution to the ground. Uh, as I said, so we are spread across the globe, pretty much in all continents. But whenever we do not have someone, either in an industry or in a country, we do have extended partnership that we can add to help in some of those projects. We have our headquarters here in Frankfurt, where I'm calling from, but we do also have a very active affiliate in Brazil because of some of ongoing projects that we have there. And as I said, so our focus really is to get things done. In many of our projects, we do not just do the analysis, we also get into how things need to be executed. And that's actually a lot of what drives us in this Longevity Rich Partners initiative, Longevity Rich Partners initiative that we are working on here. So I would like to start by giving a perspective of longevity. And then I'm going to ask Anna to jump in some of the discussions we had recently. We did together with another firm, which is based out of the UK called Lemon, an understanding of what is driving this new category called longevity. Many times people see longevity as quote unquote health or chronic diseases management. That's not only. So actually, when you see the whole notion of longevity, you're talking about infrastructure, you're talking about entertainment, we're talking about digital, we're talking about cybersecurity, financing, and also healthcare as well. But let's explore a little bit of those different perspectives here. When you see overall, what we are calling, and Anna is one of those people that I heard for the first time talking about longevity-driven economy. We are talking about around more than $8 trillion economy, and it depends. So if you go to what is seen as longevity, for example, in Brazil, my home country, people are still talking a lot about silver economy or aging and etc. On the other side, when you go, for example, to Japan, the country with the most largest number of centennials, it's a reality. And why they are addressing some of the not just government challenges, but also the economy changes that can drive this new economy. In order to get and to develop our Longevity Rich Partners Hub, we analyzed more than 250 startups. To be more precise, 283 startups, pretty much in the healthcare space. But then, as you get into some of those events and discussions and accelerators and incubators, we see more and more the connection happening across the different industry segments. What you saw to be very interesting, not getting into the details of whether it's good or bad, like for example, in the Consumer Electronics Show early in January, when Samsung announced their companion, which integrates not just your wearables or your health data and body metrics, but also your appliances in your house. Kind of saying that, you start understanding how people will behave and how this behavior can change or how this behavior can drive or can go against the notion of longevity. Out of those 250 innovations, we have 177 that we are already hosting in our hub. We are just finalizing because we get some questions from some of them about which type of material they can make available or not. We want that to be very rich so people can understand as much as possible from that technology, but we also need to understand that we cannot have a too heavy platform that will never run pretty well. But that's kind of the moment in which we are right now. And those 250 came from different 24 countries. And interesting, what we see is what we're calling an inflection point. I use the example of, I think it was back in 2004, 2008 or 9. I was asked to do a research to understand how people were behaving when consuming healthcare, water, and energy. And we did this analysis looking into a village in India, a country, a city in Africa, which was Ghana, and a slum in Brazil, which was in Rio de Janeiro. Specifically, what we saw is that it's kind of the same behavior across. Meaning, if I am not feeling well, or if I'm not so sure what's happening to me, or I have something strange on my skin, what I do, I call my neighbor, I call my mom, I call my friend, ask, oh, can I get a tea? Or should I use this or that? Or what is the medicine I can take? But at the same time, if people are getting the feelings that they may get into a stroke or just feeling dizzy, they can go to the same big hospital or reference hospital. Meaning, in the two extremes, you can be causing a bottleneck into the system, or you can be undertreated. How this behavior can change, and the significant change we saw in this behavior was that if you go back to 2007, what was the big change that happened in the world? I would say that launching of the iPhone, for example. But when people see the launching of iPhone, don't think about just a new smartphone. Think also about the possibility to expand this closer network to millions of people that may be feeling the same thing, that may have the same questions, that you just write something and you start getting lots and lots of answers. But also people having access to information and start sharing, even they have or not the authenticity or the knowledge enough to share this information. One thing that sometimes people neglected about the rise of smartphones is also the rise of the app stores. Because what the app stores allowed is much simpler and faster ways of developing new technologies. Technology that can read your body metrics, that can start reading your behaviors, and start getting you some tips. If we put together all of this, what you're saying is that instead of getting back to my 2008 research, that people are reactive, uh, negotiating with their health. They are more proactive treating about their health. And that's a big change, and that is on the source of what you're calling nowadays longevity. So yes, if you talk to a traditional healthcare person, they may be talking about prevention, diagnostic treatment, and control of chronic diseases. But if you look to the broader notion of longevity, what you get me to live longer, but also better than today, what are the decisions that I can make today that can impact my life in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now? That's about longevity. But at the same time, we know that people are usually very short term. You can tell someone, you're gonna die if you smoke. Yeah, but are they gonna stop smoking right now? Until you get like short term and measurable ways, people will really see the impact of the decisions. It's very hard to just promise something that will happen maybe in 40 years and expect a direct and consistent change. The other big change in this inflection point that happened is the acceleration of AI. And we have here Juan that worked pretty much in the development of the old times of IBM Watson healthcare, in which that was AI, that was machine learning. So, but now is really anyone, my kids, they can start developing something using AI. We saw now teachers trying to avoid the students to teach on their tests because they are now taking pictures of their tests and start getting responses on AI. So this democratization of AI is massive, but also massive in developing new solutions for people. When you combine this with precision medicine, the understanding that my cancer is different than yours, or my age is different than yours, or my skin is totally different than yours, and how our different skins are aging is what we call the precision medicine. And we see more and more companies get into this space. I was talking to a company from the Czech Republic in which they are claiming that they have 95% of the DNA being mapped. I say, okay, what is the difference between 95 and 78? I say, okay, what is the difference between 95 and 78 visibility when you're driving? That's a big change. So that's the level in which you start more and more seeing treatment that is going to be developed for a specific type of person. Um, the other thing that we are also seeing as inflection points is that everything that we are seeing happening at the individual level is going to have a huge impact in the institutional level as well. So it's not just what we called before the Dr. Google, in which people are going to go to the doctors asking questions that they have no clue before, but also they are start getting questions about the whole infrastructure of the healthcare system that can serve them. They're also talking about if my public transportation is adequate for me or not, because they have access to information. They can anticipate behaviors right now. Um, the big challenge that we've been seeing is not about the speed of development of new technologies, but the adoption and the commercialization of their technologies. And that's 100% if you're gonna go to one place like as we have some friends from Brazil, Hospital das Clínicas in Nova HC, which is a very important accelerator, or if you go to the Silicon Valley, or if you go to the Longevity Valley in Switzerland, or if you go to Mumbai, you're gonna see many technologies that are trying to address exactly the same thing. What will make the big difference between one versus the other? What will make one survive and another one to die in just in few years? There is a statistics from I think it's Techstars and Y Combinator together, in which 83% of the startups they're gonna die, or either they are dying or they are kind of what they call I think it's like living zombies or something like this. Meaning they are not dying yet, but they're about to die. Meaning just maybe 10, 15, 13% will really survive. And the big difference is not just the technology development, but the capacity of the companies to drive adoption and to drive commercialization. And that's actually what you're trying to address in the longevity rich partners. We do not see it as a way that we discuss what is Lab A doing versus Lab B, but pretty much what Lab A and B need to do so they can commercialize their solutions. So Anna and I, we were in a dinner in Portugal in October, and I remember some people introducing themselves. They were kind of PhDs, post PhDs, people that did great innovations and exits and etc. Up to the point that I remember when I was introducing myself, I said, my ring does not measure anything. My watch is mechanic. But you know what? If all those innovations need to get to people, I know how to do it. So that's kind of saying, it's important to understand how to you're gonna get solutions into the trunk of a distributor and be getting this reaching the hospitals at the end of the day. Juan, Anna, do you wanna make any comments?
Yes, I want to make some comments. First of all, the reason why you heard for the first time from me the concept longevity-driven economy is because I designed the concept. Just and the reason why I did that, and I want to share with you, has to do everything with the vision that Marcus shared about longevity. Working on this well, I'm a sociologist from my background, and I work on longevity since the beginning from the economic perspective. So I saw it as an economic opportunity. Starting 2008 or 7 or 8, I don't remember. But the important point is, I think it was at the end of 2024, World Economic Forum start talking about longevity economy, which is the label that exists until there. And the reason why I developed the concept longevity-driven economy has to do with this. And a few reports on how important is longevity economy published by the World Economic Forum. And I realized that they were talking about another thing that is not the traditional definition of longevity economy, because longevity economy has to do with 50 plus. So we are no longer talking about 50 plus. And when Marcus and I start talking, 22 or 23, I don't remember when Marcus came to Lisbon, when we start talking about it, for both of us, it was clear that longevity will be at that time clearly intergenerational, first of all. Second, we start guessing if longevity is a consumer trend or not. Now we are completely sure about it. Marco and I and Lemon, Carlos Carlos Hernandez from Lemon Market Research Company, which also belong to this Compass network. We developed a very short and I will say superficial, between commas, market research project to understand if longevity is nowadays a consumer area or not. And what we did was we analyzed on 50 plus and how they behavior, or what are their motivations when they think about longevity. And one, we realized that yes, longevity is now, people might not call longevity the name of the category, but the motivation is promoting a longer life instead of having a better aging process. So the focus is longevity. The other thing that we discovered was people buy in an ecosystem perspective. So I'm the consumer or I'm the buyer. I put myself in the middle and I'm going to buy products, solutions, services, whatever, that I think they interact with each other in my own benefit. What we did when we worked last year together, we were a curator of a Congress, longevity conference, here in Porto, called Nexi, and Marco and I and the people from GIA Foundation, we were the curators of this event, and it goes very well in terms of the public and in terms of the topics, and we test also this vision of longevity-driven economy. And the more interesting was people, especially the scientists we brought to Portugal. They said, yes, it's very interesting to be in a consumer panel talking about exposoma, for example, was one of the panels was about it. The other thing that Marco ran was the startup pitch. And the reason what we realized on this was there is a missing link, and the missing link is we don't have how to help solutions companies that are no longer startups or startups landing in a proper place. So we need to promote this. And just to finalize, the other thing I want to share with all of you is we are building here in Portugal this international ecosystem for longevity, again, in the economic perspective. What we want is, and I'm part of the team that are working on this, and I also invite Compassio and Marcos to be part of this ecosystem. We want to put Portugal in this longevity economy map. So we want really to push which is a reality and which is a trend for Portugal. So people are looking. I know without thinking too much, I can think immediately in for people that they have their own longevity network, international people living in Portugal, and they have their own international network here connecting with the longevity people, Portuguese longevity people here. So people are coming, different ages. Longevity clinics landing in Portugal. So clearly we are on a map for the good reasons. We are the fourth aged country worldwide, and we are very a small country, so it's a good place for you to land and to test and pilot solutions. So we want to push this longevity ecosystem. And the other thing is, and Paulo will go, Marcos will go deeper on this later on this meeting, but I can I can be a spoiler a little bit. We are going to do another forum, longevity driven forum, at the end of this year, and we are building this ecosystem from the forum. So the companies, we will invite the companies that wants to engage with the forum, also be part of this ecosystem. I think it's easier. And the other thing is we are putting other longevity events together. And one of these is the event that Marcos will talk a little bit later on that has to be with our longevity rich partners ecosystem. We're supposed to have one event, one global event per year, and the idea is to have it at least in the first year here in Portugal. So just for close, my participation at this moment is yes, we are now dealing with two new concepts: longevity-driven economy, no longer longevity economy. The reason why longevity economy is 50 plus and longevity driven economy is a little bit different conversation. The second concept that came from this one is longevity is also part of the ESG. So in the environment, longevity goes for sustainability conversation, which is another thing that I want to reinforce. The other thing is, for us, it's clear that longevity is now a new consumer category. So people start buying, looking with products and solutions that help them living longer. And it's important. And the final one is, for me, it's clear that this longevity rich partner ecosystem will fill a gap that we see in the market. I run 40 Plus Lab. We are a strategic consultancy company only focused on longevity. And very often we are asked to help companies to land in Portugal because there is no one specialized in Portugal as we are. So this is a proof for me. Is a proof that there is this need for a distributors network and well, not only distributors. So basically, this is the message that I want to share with all of you.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Yeah,
Welcome.
we're gonna talk more about the events. Uh, So overall, when we analyzed those 250 plus solutions, what is interesting to think about as well. So for example, if you look to what happens in Denmark in the ARDD, you may be talking about what is there into the labs and the clinical trials and etc. If you go to Medica, you're going to see Medica in Düsseldorf, you're going to see pretty much solutions that are getting into the institutions, the hospitals. But if you go to the Consumer Electronics Show, then that's when you see solutions getting into the hands of people. Even though CES, they are changing a little bit to be more about infrastructure. But this year was I think the first time that they had the longevity as one of the categories to be analyzed. I've been part of the jury members of CES for 2 years, and you see what is if the solution is addressing the need that it was intended to. You see if that's really innovative, but you also see the aesthetics of the solution because you want people to see to be able to react and to use this and how this will be competitive into the market. By analyzing those, I put together four big things that we can look as you analyze the solutions in 2026 as well. One again is the consumer power, what I just mentioned. So it's really getting to the digitalization, the access to data, the AI, the social media, and etc., getting people to take more decisions into their hands and not just waiting for the doctors to tell them what to do. The challenge here is still on the data privacy and who owns which data and who has the rights of what, right? We know that because of the fancy and all the buzz about AI, people are throwing all the information without knowing exactly what is behind and how the information is being used. But more and more, we see regulatory agencies and etc. taking more care about how people's data is going to be used, to which country this data is going to fly or not, and how people can manage or not that data. We're going to see more and more this conversion. But the consumer power is something that's definitely here to stay. The other important big trend that we see is the continuous dominance of AI. Right now, if you just look to the FDA in the US, there are more than 1,200 AI-approved devices. It's a big number. In Medica, around 44-45% of the startups there, they were somehow using AI or machine learning. We see AI being used more and more on the discovery of new drugs, and not talking about just in silico medicine. There are many other quote unquote like in silico medicine companies doing the same. The big challenge we see in 2026 is how that will definitely be allowed to be part of the medical and clinical workflows, and how the medical societies will allow that to be used. You can say that there is one state somewhere allowing people to get prescription without seeing a doctor just by using AI. But really to be massive, how much the medical societies will be approving this, or will be allowed it, or will be consulted, or will be make AI part of their own workflows. As I said, precision medicine is definitely critical here. So one of the studies from Stanford says that 81% of is understandable that the aging is definitely not linear. So each person will be different, and you're going to be different throughout the different stages of your life. So what we call before to be a fancy stuff like biological aging or DNA sequencing is now definitely into the market and as a clear market marketing a clear solution being adopted and potential to be reimbursed very soon. And the convergence. So as we're discussing, it's not just the convergence of technologies into one individual, but also the convergence of technologies into the system, into the healthcare system, which is still a big gap. Even though we may say that some countries may be more aligned and more digital, you still see a big gap to have a more centralized or more or better data lakes to be able to manage into the system the data coming from each of the individuals. But those are big drivers that we're going to see being shaped innovation in 2026, coming from trends that we saw happening in 2025. And just to show some examples that are discussions that we want to have, and we actually start having within the group here. Like yesterday, EU just announced the agreement with India. A few weeks ago, they announced the agreement with Mercosur. But what is in this for people, right? So how many companies will be able to really leverage this? We know that the case of Mercosur was just brought to the legal discussions in the EU Parliament again. But India was announced with a big motivation, and definitely we see companies like being developing technologies in EU, seeing India as a huge market. But at the same time, don't neglect the acceleration power of development new technologies in India, so they can very soon start broadening solutions to EU as well. Like Germany, and I can tell from my personal experience, back in the early times of the pandemic, I would say that Germany was really falling behind in terms of digitalization of healthcare. And we see the DIGA, which is an initiative for especially for healthcare apps, being one important area of focus. So we're going to see more and more uh, Germany becoming more digital in the healthcare space as well, which is critical. But if you jump to the other side of the world here, so what about Japan? So Japan is about almost 30% of people with already more than 65 years of age, and just Japan itself around 2 trillion longevity economy, meaning almost 25% of the number that we project some slides ago. But what about China? So we're talking about 310 million people with more than 60 years of age. It means pretty much 4 times Germany, for example. It's a huge market of people with more than 6 years old. Uh, if you look to Brazil, rapid growing or rapid aging population, but it's still a pretty challenging environment to be able to launch something from here, Europe, and try to launch to Brazil. What companies need to know? In the US, as is still a destination market for many developers or innovators, but getting a little bit tricky in terms of what you can really predict in terms of the US when you talk about the regulatory framework there and the actions coming from the government. So that's that melting pot of the current scenario we are facing. Those are very important discussions that we want to have in our group, not just on the innovators' perspective, but coming from people, but also the information coming from the market, from the distributors, and the perspective of the investors, where they want to put their money or not. We do have some projects in fundraising, and what we've been seeing that more and more the deep tech, biotech, is having hard time to get the massive access to the VCs that are putting more money into the longevity. Why? Because of the rise of digital solutions and AI. You just send a link, people will test your solution, while you do not need to wait and do lots of technical due diligences into the technology. So there is a little bit of even though there are more money coming to healthcare and longevity, we need to see deeper where exactly those money you want to be and what are the bets that they have, like for a quick exit, for example, versus bet on a technology that you still need like 5 to 10 years to be developed and approved. What still work is definitely you need to build the cases. The basic healthcare economics still matter a lot. To allow something to be reimbursed, you still need to show to prove value. So in some markets, you may look into what consumers want, but in other markets, you still need to see what can be reimbursed. And I can share another experience. So my team was responsible for launching a continuous glucose monitoring, Freestyle Libre, in some markets. And what we saw is that while in the first launching back in 2013-14 in Germany and Austria, was a matter of discussing and approving reimbursement rates at the federal level and then see how states are going to execute them. Once you did it, that's a massive return. While Brazil, which was still, also a huge market, took a lot of time and it was much more going to out of pocket in the first moment instead of going directly through the reimbursement rate. So the understanding of the different healthcare ecosystem is pretty critical for innovators, so they do not fall into the hands of someone saying that they're going to sell whatever they want. And when they see the reality of the market is definitely a big tricky. So Andrea and I, we were in a very interesting discussion, I would say maybe 1 or 2 months ago, with someone that want to expand it also in Latin America and Europe. They are going through one model in Brazil specifically, trying to win in public bids. They want to go through pharmacies in Italy, and they have a totally different model in the UK. The challenge is not just you want to sell and build all your business case to sell to the government in Brazil, because if you fail, you may need to wait a lot of some time to wait for the next big bid that justifies all the development. While to get into the pharmacies in Italy is a totally different animal. So it's much more complex, much more kind of region by region discussions that you need to have versus private groups. Andre, I'm not sure. Feel free to jump in if you have any comments.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's when the strategic view comes into place as a priority. Is not only looking at the potential of each market and where you want to go. For example, China, where you said I see dollar signs, but it's where am I right now? What's the quickest win that will give me some possibility for investment in the future? And then which other markets I want to go to. And then for each of those markets, gathering the right information and having the right resources in place, right, in the fit in the market to conquer each of those. So strategic mindset is critical.
Yeah, and long story short, big summary here is that just having a good technology does not mean you're going to have a commercial success. So really, we can go through all the history of technology and innovation. Is not just having the best, but how to sell the best, right? How to sell in the best way. But that's the same case of longevity as well. So what is longevity and how people are adopting and thinking about their lives and etc. is why it's still important happening across the globe, but it's still different country by country, and we need to understand that. So let me talk specifically about this ecosystem that we are developing here. And I'm going to go into very detailed discussions because that's part of the questions we got from different forums as well. And please feel free to jump in. Some of you, I have talked before about this already. So Maria Mello, I know you are on mute and without camera, but you may see some answers to questions you brought to us before. So what are the groups that we see in this ecosystem? So let's first look into the innovators. And Juan and I, we were in a meeting with a very interesting technology developer founder, in which she said, we just started selling to Mexico, okay? And then we asked, why Mexico? Oh, because someone called us, and then we start selling it. And now we are challenging low margin and the need of hiring people that speaks Spanish, because we cannot rely 100% on AI to produce the reports. We still need to have a technical background and a technical review. So that's a big challenge. So another example I was talking to someone on the medical optics solution for diabetic patients, in which it was developed for one Central Europe country. And when I told him, if you want 20 plus million diabetic patients in Brazil, they are there, but you need to totally change your business model. Because in Brazil, we just do not have the family clinics as you have, for example, here in Germany. So people does not have no need to go first to a family doctor and then to go to the specialist. People out of nowhere, if they have a headache, they just book a neurologist. Or if they have a pain in the left shoulder, they usually decide, should I go to the cardiologist or should I go to the orthopedics? So that's kind of the challenging into understanding the different ecosystems. We also understand, and that's true from many of the events we go. So it's very easy to have someone coming to us say, "Oh, can you help me find a distributor in Brazil?" Then you ask, "Why Brazil?" "Oh, because you have more than 200 million people there." Okay, good. But if you want to go to Latin America, maybe think about first to go to Chile, which is usually a very well-known test market for many products. Then you think about Brazil. And then maybe just after that, and establish a good operation in Latin America, you think about Mexico. Is this true? It depends. So if you are a US company, maybe go to Mexico may be easier. But it's really to understand the whole matrix of the market, the competitive landscape, and the regulatory framework that we're going to see there. So that's the challenge you see in innovators. So who they can really trust and who are the ones that can really help their solutions getting into enough commercial scale that can help them go to the next level. On the other side, when you talk to the distributors, the challenge they have is, we may see this, we may face the same, right? So what is the best solution for improving diagnostic imaging? No clue. So it's very hard to understand what are the things that can really survive in the market, what are the latest technologies. And we see more and more, especially from the countries that are not in the central regions like Europe and US, full of important congresses, distributors, they are commissioning people to go to the main events to search for, to do like technology scouting for them. And I'm going to show a quote, a real quote from someone that we heard, in which they spend thousands of, almost $100,000 in some travel and congresses tickets. And they say, no, but it's not just like going to the Congress. It's spending a week out of my operation and my team needs me, is going there and have no clue if you are about to have a good decision or not. So how can you make, even though you may still need to travel, make each trip more efficient than before? And that's part of having a curated scouting that we bring here that we believe can add a lot of value to those potential commercial partners. And the same for investors. But I will bring an interesting quote here is that what is important for distributors can be what are the technologies that are investable, meaning those technologies that will get funded by investors because they see as a potential return. On the other side, for investors, what can be very important for them is understand what is commercially viable. Meaning, I am an investor in Germany. I know the ecosystem in Berlin, for example. Oh yeah, I like these technologies, but is this something that can really go to South Africa? Is this something that can really go to Southeast Asia? By being part of the ecosystem, you can definitely call someone and talk and see, oh, what do you think about this? Is this really feasible to Malaysia? Is this really feasible to Colombia, for example? That's what I believe is quote unquote the beauty of an ecosystem, that you have different actors together. And then the experts, people that know longevity, they understand longevity, they have a point of view, and they believe they can help those technologies reaching more people more fastly. And an example I have here is one of the discussions we are having with the Parkinson's Association from a country, in which what they want, they're not going to use the technology at the first moment. They are not going to distribute the technology. They do not want to invest. But what they want to know is what are the new technologies that can be brought to their patient community and who can be willing to distribute to them. And we know that in many countries, patient associations, they are very important also to reimbursement approvals, to regulatory approvals. So this is a very important actor that they are neither investor or distributor or an innovator, but they can really play a very important role as an expert in this ecosystem. How it works, and that's really getting to the nitty-gritty of the operation here. So there is a community. So right now the community is gonna be launching into a WhatsApp group, but we're gonna have a dedicated community. We are just finalizing the setup of this, in which people can. There will be open interactions, but I know that not everyone likes open interactions. Sometimes it just get hard of tracking all the discussion, but we're gonna have dedicated discussions for specific groups. That's just one thing, but I see this just as a good collateral of having a good group. The important driver of this good group is having those regular sessions. Like the session we're going to have tomorrow, and I'm going to share the agenda here, is going to be our first quarterly session in the year. That will be a 4-hour long session, but we're also going to have eight monthly sessions. So what you see in the quarterly sessions, we're going to see the latest technologies being discussed in the events that happened in the previous quarter. And tomorrow we're going to discuss CES and Medica. In April, we're going to discuss, for example, Arab Health and MedLab that's happening in Dubai, besides other events. We're also going to have in the quarterly sessions the opportunity for the startups to pitch. And the idea is not to have quick, I would say, running like crazy 5-minute pitch. It's really to have a very rich discussion with them. So tomorrow, what we're going to have is just 3 startups. Each of them we're going to present for 20 minutes, so they can really go into the details of this is my business model, answer questions, get to know people, and etc. The idea is that we're going to have around 2 hours in every of those quarterly sessions just dedicated to the startups. And what we're going to have in the 8 monthly sessions, those are 2-hour sessions that are dedicated to improve the management side of the companies, either the distributors or the startups. Because if those companies are managed well, we're going to have better deals for everyone. And what are managing well? Like tomorrow is going to be the only case in which we're going to have one of those workshops into the quarterly session. Tomorrow we're going to talk about systemic leadership thinking. So how are you gonna see when you're leading something, not just think about one direction, but also everything that is around your decision as a leader. In the next monthly, we're gonna talk about longevity and the consumer behavior. That's gonna be Ana together with Carlos. Then we have one branding company, well known, coming from Latin America, talking about how to do a good branding, how to do a good brand architecture, how to do a good brand activation, either if you're talking about consumers or if you're talking about clients. Then we're going to talk about financial best practices and financial rigor. We're going to talk about governance. We're going to talk about regulatory intelligence across the key areas of interest, data management, post-sales and services. So those are topics not longevity related, but they will be longevity biased because you want either distributors or innovators to be able to be at a better level of managing their operations, while we have the quarterly discussions to talk about longevity technologies. And then besides the online sessions, we're going to have one in-person event, as Anna was mentioning. So the idea is that this year, it's going to be early in October, associated with the Porto event, because we want people to not just get into our own bubble. We want really people to get into the interaction with someone else that can benefit from their knowledge, and also they can benefit from the knowledge of this broader group. Just to show an example of how I hope you can see here. This is the status of our platform right now. Can you see? You may let me know if you do not see my Google Chrome. But this is, for example, if I pick women's healthcare, right now we have 9 solutions. Those 9 solutions can come from simple apps to solutions that will be associated with diagnostic imaging. If you pick the example of Positive, for example, Positive is a startup from Italy, and we can see what they're trying to offer here. That they're seeking for investment. So if you're an investor, you can see who is seeking for investment and why, and you can make the connection. They are already available in Italy. They are seeking for additional markets. So that's the level in which, if you're part of the ecosystem, you can access to, and we do always do the matchmaking. Why we do not believe in 100% AI type of matchmaking? Because we need to understand what is within the discussions. When someone says, I want to go to Brazil, say, why? How? Are you going to partner with a clinic? Are you going to go white label? Are you going to go with your own? Because to build a brand in Brazil is a massive pay media investment versus going to a place which is less social media, like in Germany, for example. So those are the nitty-gritties that AI may not capture in the beginning, that we want to be able to drive the better agreements between distributors and innovators, or investors and innovators. But just one example where we really need to finalize it. So we are onboarding new companies that enrolled last week. So you can have one receiving the same treatment, the same quality of solutions here. What's going to be our first meeting tomorrow? So as I said, we're going to have 2 members of the jury, myself and someone else that is not part of the Compassion, talking about the latest innovations brought during the CES. So we saw a lot of exoskeletons, for example, that initially was thought to help people with movement disorders, but we also see a lot going to construction companies or heavy manufacturing. There are many companies from Europe in this space. We saw also amazing solutions, aesthetics-wise and user experience-wise, coming from Korea. I would say, my personal opinion, way ahead of some of the European and American solutions in terms of usability. We saw lots of solutions into the rings as well, not just Aura, which is a Finnish company, as you may know, but there's also interesting solution coming from Germany, and 2 interesting solutions also coming from India and China. What are they offering? So who is offering a monthly fee? Who is offering just the device and etc.? So those are the discussions we're going to have. Medica, as I said, we analyzed it. I think it's 135. There were 135 innovation in the startup park in Medica. We analyze a big number of them. We're going to take you through what we've been seeing as a trend and some interesting solutions. In the pitch hour, we're going to have 3 startups. Pulse HD, which is in the cardiovascular space, very early stage from Portugal. Positive, as I mentioned, is a startup from Italy, willing to start getting to other markets. They have approved protocols from the Medical Society in Italy, specifically focused on menopause and perimenopause, with a clinical and slash community type of approach. And Fetalix, another one from Portugal that we met last year, they are working on regenerative treatment for lower back pain with a pretty good business model, very interesting solution. Initially focused on Portugal and getting to Europe first, instead of trying to get it overseas. Then Adriana, who is the CEO and founder of BRIA Institute and former country CEO for GE. She's going to talk about systemic leadership, systems thinking leadership in a workshop format. And then we're going to end the meeting tomorrow with showing you what's going to be the plan for the rest of the year, the agenda, how people can interact and introducing each other. So as I said, there are different types of ways to participate there. Pretty much everyone has the same access to the platform, to the community, to the monthly meetings, to the quarterly meetings, the invitation to the annual meeting. The big difference here is that Innovators, they will have the ways to search for the investors and distributors. Distributors, they can apply to become exclusive, anticipatory, or a distributor for specific regions. And there is a lot about discussion, okay, distributor, let me understand your portfolio, because if that's a Frankenstein in the portfolio, the new solution will never be offered. So we need to understand how the portfolio is going to become cohesive into what they're going to bring to the market. Investors, they will be able to not just searching for potential investment opportunities, but also see which are the ones with commercially approval or commercially viable. And we have the experts to participate in all the discussions and to help specific cases on accelerating or mentorship, or just get to know more about the founders and the solutions. Sorry. What we do a membership fee on an annual basis. This is the regular fees that we pay, we charge per month. But what we are doing for until early in February, actually 4th of February, we drop it dramatically to 100 per month for Innovators, 100 per month for distributors, 70 per month for investors and experts. And I say it's almost a breakfast per month for seed startups for their first year, which is the 20 euros per month. And why that's a question we got, why seed startups are much less than Innovators? Because we know that at that stage, they may not benefit as much from distributors agreement, for example, or for reaching a VC. Many times they are much more on the angel investor space, less on the VC level. But we believe they can really benefit a lot from the discussions, from learning from others, from understanding the distribution models, to start building their growth plan, and also from the workshops. So the workshops are not by person. The workshops is to bring companies, so you can bring your whole team to participate and getting better knowing the financials, post-sales, services, regulatory, branding, and so on and so forth. So that's the idea. So we really want the best and more diverse, the better. But we also need to have, I would say, not just the AI-based solution. We really need to have a little one-to-one, people-to-people, person-to-person type of interaction, which we still believe is the most rich opportunity to build business. And those are real quotes that I mentioned that we got. So the first one is from the founder of a personalized medicine from Europe, in which she said, we started sales in Mexico after a former employee of a competitor requested distribution rights. We gave, and now our team is expressing dissatisfaction with unpredictable overload. Margins are very low. We didn't have a plan. On the other side, on the other spectrum, this is the quote we got from the owner of a distributor in South America, and that's what he said. So we spent almost $100,000, exactly 85,000 just going to China. But having this type of interactions, he believes that he can still travel, but all the trips are going to be way much more efficient. And what we're going to having people access it. We're gonna share the video of this. We're gonna make it available just for this period. So we do not want to have anyone clicking on the links after the period expired. So, but the website is ready. The video is gonna be with the links as well. So in case anyone wants to or anyone has questions, just feel free to reach any of us here. So now I think it's time to open for questions in the case there are any, right? Stop sharing so I can see your full screen now. So compassion partners and questions or comments or anything that I may have lost here and you want to reinforce? I have loosened and you want to reinforce?
I just want to reinforce the need for these I'm gonna call distributor networks. You know, for me, is clear. I have a few people that I invite for this meeting and couldn't be here today. And one of them say, Anna, this is a very on-time conversation, you know. So clearly the thing here is we need to work to people know about it. For me is the first serious point. The other one is just for fun. Does AI make questions when you have meetings with AI or just take notes? You know, because when people put the AI instead of themselves, you know, they take notes but don't ask critical questions, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Anna. The other question we got, and actually I got from an accelerator is, oh, is this competing against us? And I say, no, actually that's complementary to accelerator. So I've built acceleration programs. I participate as mentor. We're not going to talk about how to make a pitch. We're not going to talk about what is VC or is cap table or what is dilution of equity. It's actually the next level. So you've learned all of this, but how to build a growth plan? What are the types of agreements you can have? What is in there in the new regulatory frameworks for this or that country? Why you think that GDPR is a nightmare? Oh yeah, so welcome to LGPD, which is the Brazilian law for data privacy or the California law for data privacy. So you need to understand the difference. Or either you go to the most extreme and try to serve everyone. You may take 2 years, try to make a solution. Or you just decide where you can go now so you can build the breadth to be able to go to the next market. I've been talking to a few people from India right now, and they're specifically interested in understanding how it's going to be the deployment of the agreement with the EU. And frankly speaking, here in my neighborhood, you have either people from England, from China, or from India, because it's massive. They see Europe as an opportunity, and I think Europe should not close the eyes that those countries are huge opportunities. So even though I should cut this from the video final, but even though there are lots of Chinese EV cars, if you go with a German car in many places in the world, they're still seen as high quality differentiator in itself. And that's the same for technology. So there is a reason why we see people trying to get closer to here, is not just to sell, but also to learn, to leverage, and to build partnerships. So.
Yeah, one of the results from the market research we did, Marco, touches exactly what you said. You know, when we compare the strengths of each market, the US, European, and Portuguese, the European came with much more, I won't call credibility, because might not be the right word, is the word that came to my mind at this moment, you know, but it's like it's a little bit like the common sense of a Germany car.
Mhm.
You know, it's like what we got from that market research is people over 50 in US tend to be more I'm trying this ring, I'm trying this solution, this app, this watch, this whatever. Then we will see if it works or not. European consumers are more like, I need to know a little bit more about who's behind. So credibility, you know, the scientific perspective, which in a car I call security. You know, if the car is strong, safe or not, is a good performance.
Yeah.
This kind of conversation.
Yeah. And on the other hand, if you want to talk about social networks and the impact of social networks and etc., you definitely need to talk with a company from India, from the US, from Brazil. Totally different platforms. You talk to people in China, what WeChat can do, which is amazing comparing to the solutions we have here. So the beauty is really understand what is working and see the ways to leverage and how to leverage, or where you really need to develop something out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, I was in a conference not this Saturday, 15 days from from this Saturday. I was in a conference of the Portuguese Society of Gastroenterologists, and two things interesting regarding to this longevity conversation is one of them. The forum was about the patient over 50. So how to treat them until when go with the treatment, where to stop and everything. And one of the words that I heard most was biological age. So people say, yeah, till now, chronological age was a reference for us. So like someone with 90 years old, I might not do some kind of treatment. But if the guy is biologically pretty young, I might do the treatment, is one of the things. The other one was the use of AI to help the diagnostic and to help to understand how the diseases will evolve. We said till now we don't have too much, for example, studies on elderly people with one disease. Usually they don't do it. Now we need to use AI collecting the data that we already have and have the AI working with us to understand how the disease might evolve, how some solutions perform and things like that. So and in my longevity glasses, this is a conversation that touches what we are discussing. So clear is a market to grow, and a perspective for people that have technology in these areas in another place wants to come to Europe, you know. So the market is not consumer, it's B2B in the different aspects and all the different areas that health in B2B have. It's a very open market.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's a good point, Anna. And Maria Mello, one thing that you may want to hear about is we are in the discussion with two universities to have the hub as a tech partner, not technology in the sense of medicine or tech, but because we can bring some of the best practices to help their technologies being ready to get into the market. So there's also one trade association in which with whom we are discussing this. So it would be good. So it would be good to have this mix of trade associations, universities, patient associations, investors, distributors, and innovators talking together. Okay, any more questions or comments?
Perhaps just the last comment, Marcus. I think the beauty of this work is a combination of many years of experience. We have more than 2 decades of experience, especially in healthcare, with large companies, with technology, and also working with indirect and direct channels. And I've seen numerous times, and we all have seen this. From one side, you see great solutions and products trying to, solve and sell those solutions in different places and different regions, and they go kind of opportunistically without knowing exactly how to move. And in the other side, you see many distributors or agents, they want to sell something, but they don't know exactly what to choose because they don't have access to the technology. So I understand it's like being a curated network where you connect, the providers or people that can offer great solutions with distribution of people that want to sell in their regions. They have the knowledge how to do that. So it's kind of a mix of the experience with a curated process to understand what exactly we want to provide and what exactly is the right fit from both sides.
Yeah, that's a good point, Juan. So any more questions? Otherwise, I'll be glad to give you back 20 minutes. And then it take us maybe one day to prepare the video, and then I'm gonna share the links. So feel free to review it or to share with someone. We do not leave the videos open after the deadline of February 4th, because that's where we have the links for the promotional codes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. And Eva, by the way, I can send you a message. We can set some time to chat.
Yes,
So
of
we can know more
course.
about what you do.
Yes, with pleasure. And every one of you also, when you have questions, it's construction industry, yeah, where I'm working, and yeah, it's a theme, it's a niche until now, because people are more focused on supplements, on other technologies, but it's very important to make this invisible things around us, what we don't see, but which are very important for us for the future when we're talking about longevity. This is the most important thing, I think, to protect our walls for us. Yeah.
Are we going to have any, do you have any materials that you can share for us so we can understand more what exactly
So
is?
I have official material, yes, PDF, which I can send it to you. So you can feel free, send me on LinkedIn and your email address, and I can send you all information, because we have different things. For example, when you have a wellness or a hospitality for hotels, when you're looking for example, schools or whatever you want to protect, or is it a private, your own walls at home. So we have, at the end, it's always the same concept, but the PDFs are always different for different clients.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm interested also in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
especially,
Marco, you can share our emails once.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
can send,
Eva and I, we are connected, so feel free
yeah.
to send. And I, we have some discussions with in the construction space as well right now. So
I'm starting a project with Motengil is the biggest. I think they are the biggest. There are another Casals company. I don't know which one leads the Portuguese market, but Motengil at least is the most well-known constructor multinational Portuguese company, and they are touching this topic, you know.
Okay.
And for the forum that I mentioned. In my conversation, really would like to build until there. I think running, we might have time to build a small prototype of a longevity house.
Yes, of course, and I'm very looking forward to come to Portugal next for sure this year. I was last year there for a project because I work as a project manager, and I'm so in love with Portugal. Seriously, it get my heart. I love the energy. I love everything. I was there over 3 months. I was in Cascais and Sintra and Lisbon.
Very bad
Yes.
place.
So
Yes.
now I'm in different groups, and you're very friendly, open, and especially about longevity, all these things. It's very, very great to have people like open-minded, like in this theme. It's different. In Germany, you have to put so much energy that people, understand you. With you, it's easier for me to have a conversation. And yeah, it's very nice. So looking forward.
Marcus put us in contact.
yeah, so that's great. So and that's the idea. So we want to make connections.
That's it.
Great.
Okay.
And build it together.
Thanks a lot. Again,
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you back some minutes, and then we're gonna share the material. We're gonna share the video very soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good